Direct proportion and inverse proportion, part 3. Students of a certain school went for a picnic to farm by bus. Here are some of their experiences. Say whether the quantities in each are in direct proportion or in inverse proportion. We have to identify that in between the two quantities there is a direct proportion or inverse proportion. Each student paid the 60 rupees for the expenses. So as there were 45 students, so how many rupees were collected? That we have to write here. So one student paid the 60 rupees. So 45 student will pay the 2700 rupees. If there are 50 students, then they will pay 3000 rupees, because one student pay 60 rupees, so 50 students will pay 3000 rupees. So which type of proportion is there? See here, first 45 students are there, then 50 students are there, means this number of students increases 45 to 50. So if relatively another quantity increases, then we can say there is a direct proportion. As number of students in the amount paid by them also increases 2700 to 3000. Quantity increases, so we can say there is a direct proportion. The number of students and money collected are in direct proportion. Second example, the sweets shop near the school gave the 90 laddus for the picnic. If 45 students go for the picnic, each student will get 2 laddus, because total laddus are 90 and students are 45. So each student will get 2 laddus. And if 30 students go for the picnic, then each student will get 3 laddus. Quantity of the laddu is 90, and if the number of student is 30, then each student will get 3 laddus. Now what we have to observe? The number of students and the number of laddus they will get. Here 45 to 30. So number of students decreases. Number of student decreases as compared to laddus. Number of laddus increases. Means first quantity decreases, second quantity increases. So there is a inverse proportion. The number of students, that of laddus, each one gets are in inverse proportion. Understood? The farm is 120 km away from the school. The bus went to the farm at the speed of 40 km per hour and took 3 hours to reach there. Because total distance is 120 and the speed of the bus is 40. So it will take the 3 hours to reach there. And on the return trip, the 60 km per hour, therefore it took 2 hours only. So for the identification of the direct or inverse proportion, we have to see the quantities are, first quantity is increased or decreased, and relatively second quantity increase or decrease. So first is the speed, 40 km and the 60 km. So here 40 to 60, it means the increases. Relatively the time required for it 3 to 2 decreased, 3 hours to 2 hours. So time required it decrease. First quantity increases, second quantity decreases. It means there is a inverse proportion. The speed of the bus and the time it takes are in the inverse proportion. The farmer picked 180 boars from his trees. he gave them equally to the 45 students. Each student got 4 bores. These 180 bores, if we divide into 45 students, each student will get 4. Had there been 60 students, each would have got 3 bores. If 45 students to 60 students, means the number of students increased here, but the number of bores getting them is decreased. Means first quantity increases, relatively second quantity decreases. So therefore there is a inverse proportion. The number of students and the number of bores, each one gets are in the inverse proportion. Understood it?